Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Bonfire Racing Network. I'm your commentator, Jared Kelly, here to bring you a delayed version of the Bonfire Premier Cup Series at Pocono, not Kentucky. That was a couple weeks ago. Let me just update that real quick. But it's gonna be 75 laps here at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle. What is turn 4? Or what turn 4? All the different nicknames that this racetrack has. But now it's going to be 2.5 miles. Ambient temperature is 78 degrees. Track temps at 119. As we have qualifying underway, let's go over to Kevin Kyle. Kevin in that FOCM paint scheme, Cavacogi Racing Network on the side. Fast sector 1 at the moment. Coming out of turn 3. Across the start-finish line, that first lap is going to be a 50.20. It's not going to cooperate with me at the moment. As he gets up into the wall there, onto turn number 1, that's going to end his qualifying session here. He's going to take it back to pit road. See anybody else out on the road? It's just Kevin Kyle at the moment. See if the ticker will cooperate. Yes, it does. So we will have the ticker working. As we have 6 minutes left to go. And now that I'm remembering that this replay was somebody else's and it's not live, I can't watch anybody else qualify. Now that I'm remembering. Why don't we skip ahead to the actual race session. So I believe that will be it for qualifying. Maybe not quite done yet. Now it shows us ready to go racing, I believe. Maybe. There we are. Having cars arrive onto the racetrack. So let's look at your starting grid here for Pocono. His buddy Sally's going to take that pole position in front of Kyle Knott in the 988, followed by Joe Volpes and David Medina in the number 9 for FOCM. David Brenner and David Buell on that third row, followed by David Owens and Nick Mills, who saved fuel at Kentucky last week. So good job on Nick. He's leading the standings, followed by Johnny Barker in the 9th position, with Jax Duvall in the 10th position, rounding out your top 10. Dennis Puckett in the 11th, with Joseph Amato in the 19. Those two sitting at the bottom of our point standings. I don't think it's going to let me skip. No, it is not. It's going to be wonky today. So I will just read you the rest from the 14th position. It's Rob Chowdhury in the 24, followed by Paul Ferniani in the 44. Brandon Shelton in the 2 on the 16th position, followed by Thomas Fox in the 57. Craig Hawkins in the 877. We are waiting for these cars to line up and get gridded up, but we're waiting on 2 more before they can start to roll off pit road. Kept myself from knowing who's been running up front in this race. Didn't hear any of the action, so I kind of hid it for myself, as now the cars are starting to roll down pit road. There's your grid here for Pocono. Little overhead shot. As the pace car pulls down off of pit road, Buddy Sally going to lead him to green. Green flag up in the air. We're racing here in Pocono. Great start for Kyle and I. He's going to be side by side with Buddy Sally going into turn number 1. See how the rest of the field fares, as Joe Amato is looking 3 wide already. Further back, that's Dennis Puckett there on the outside. We saw him go to the top lane early on. That outside lane going to be the preferred lane here on all restarts. As Jax is still stuck to that inside lane. Johnny Barker there in the 867. Looking to try and make up positions, as David Owens is stuck in the middle 3 wide. Nick Mills throwing it on down to the bottom as well. Oh, as David Owens gets loose, we're riding on board with him. Oh, and he hits the front end. Nick Mills being pushed down pit road as well. Like we saw a piece get knocked off of David Owens' car there. Yeah, it's that fender on the right-hand side. And it looks like Jax Duvall jumped into the pit lane. Not sure what happened to him. Let's try and look to see what happened there. Got a little damage there. It just gets up into the fence. Maybe that car not wanting to turn. But that's going to force him to jump into the pits. As the field's still green, it's showing David Owens as the leader, but I don't think that's right. David Owens down pit road, so maybe we stayed green. There wasn't any yellow. So we are still green flag racing. The timetable is kind of screwed up. It's showing Nick Mills as the leader here. Let's try and reload. So I try and get this timetable sorted out. There it goes. It has finally fixed itself and put Nick Mills in the right position. Now the laps aren't counting down correctly, I don't believe. Maybe they are. I think it's getting there. What I get for trying to be fancy and do replays on a replay file. Try and do something different. But Buddy Sally's still leading here. See if we've got any other battles going on. Johnny Barker further back, right behind David Buell on the 52. Johnny Barker gets by David Buell there. That's for the 6th position. He's going to try and now make his way up to David Brenner, who's in that top 5 position. Kevin Kyle wait in the wings there as well. Amato making some moves. Saw him right behind Brandon Shelton there as he blinks off now. Rob Chowdhury throwing it on in there too with his teammate Paul Ferniani behind him. Oh, as Joe Amato got loose there, went to the bottom of the racetrack, he's going to start losing some spots. Maybe he can slide in behind Rob. Thomas Fox also catching up to Craig Hawkins there in the 877. Dennis Puckett there and Paul Ferniani going side by side. Paul got a little loose there off the top. We saw that big bobble. It's David Owens and Jax Duvall still down on pit road. Paul getting really tight there going through turn 1. Didn't get the front end hooked up. David Brenner and Johnny Barker going out for the 5th position. Johnny hoping to get it done here in turn 2. He does easily. It's all about that draft. David Buell coming now in the picture. Try and make a pass on the 22. He's going to look to the inside going into turn number 1. Lifted a little bit there, gave David Brenner some room. But Buddy Sally still leading this field with David Medina right behind him. And Kyle Anott is sitting there in the 3rd position. He's looking to the bottom on David Medina through turns 3. David Buell not quite clear of David Brenner quite yet. It's really close there coming out of turn number 1. David Brenner able to hold on there to continue going side by side. That's going to slow both Buell and Brenner and Kevin Kyle down. If they don't get single file and try and catch up to Johnny Barker there in the 5th position. Johnny's starting to make his way up on Joe Volpis there. I can see those two battling soon. Johnny Barker is really quick there through the entry of turn number 3. We're on board here with Joe Volpis in the 07. Paul Ferniani is closing the gap up to Dennis Puckett there in the 12th car, 12th position. Nick Mills still on that lead lap after having that tangle with David Owens there on the first lap of the race. David Owens 6 laps down, but he is out on the racetrack. See, that right side is repaired. Got that front fender back on. David Medina getting tracked down by Kyle Anott. Less than half a second almost separates the top 3. Paul Ferniani still working on Dennis Puckett there. Dennis having a slight bobble there out of turn number 3. Dennis Puckett's closing up to Rob Chowdhury right in front of him. Kyle Anott was able to make the move on David Medina, but David Medina using the advantage of Kyle Anott getting loose there out of turn number 3. They're going to go side by side and let Buddy Sally run away just a little bit. Those two still going side by side. Johnny Barker sitting there in the 4th position, having a really good run here at Pocono. But Brandon Shelton up 7 positions from where he started. He's kind of on an island by himself. Gap in front of him is almost 3 seconds. Gap behind is almost 2 seconds. So nothing really Brandon can do. Try and catch up unless we have another yellow. David Owens back down pit road. The group with Buell, Brenner, Kevin Kyle, and I believe that's Johnny Barker or Joe Volpus, maybe. They're kind of spread out just a little bit. They're not bumper to bumper like they were. Kyle and I has a full mirror of David Medina. If Medina able to get the power for the momentum for the long straightaways. He's also in that toe. You can see him catching here, going towards turn number 2. Stays right behind him. David Brenner now catching up to Joe Volpus there for the 5th position. Dave Medina now back in front of Kyle Lynott. Looks like Kyle Lynott got loose there, went to the bottom of the racetrack, had to lift out of the gas. And now what does Buddy Sally do now that he's got Dave Medina behind him? Started off early. Some speed, but maybe falling off just a little bit with those tires. But buddy, I gotta let you know, I saw my first 7 brew on my vacation down in Tallahassee. I've never seen one up until that point, so I didn't go. I didn't have a coffee or a brew, but I did see it. Back there in the 12th position, Dennis Puckett now making his way up onto Joe Amato and Rob Chowdhury. Dennis looking for a top 10 finish here at Pocono. Good points day for the number 12 car. See a little bit of right front damage there on the number 12, but he's gonna cross over Rob Chowdhury almost into the left rear. But he's going to get to the inside going to turn number 3. He's going to dive it on in there down to the bottom and try and clear him here through turn 3. Looks like he might be able to do it. I don't know yet. He's still on that inside. Maybe a little toe from Joe Amato could help him out, but he's going to stay down into the middle. They stay side by side going into turn number 1. But Dave Medina did get the pass for the lead. He's now leading this race 17 laps in from Buddy Sally. Saw it off camera there. Able to get to the front, get that bonus point that he needs. Now Paul Ferniani and Dennis Puckett going side by side. Paul up into the wall there. Really high and Dennis really low. through turn number 2. Rob Chowdhury's trying to make the move on Joseph Amato. They're going to go side by side down the long front stretch. Now Joe Volpis and Johnny Barker really close together. Maybe those tires falling off for Johnny Barker there in the 867. Joe Volpis here trying to have a really good, successful day in his home state, Pennsylvania. Jack Duvall back out on the racetrack. David Owens sitting in that last position. He's still in the pits for repairs. Nick Mills 40 seconds off of the lead. And I believe they're doing 54, so only 14 seconds ahead of Dave Medina at this moment. Buddy Sally trying to make a charge back to the lead. Right on the rear bumper, he lets Medina go going into turn number 2. He's hoping to have a really fast run here down the short chute towards turn number 3. Maybe set up for some momentum out of turn number 3 down the long front straightaway in front of all the fans. Go on board with David Medina. Is Joe Volpis getting ever closer? Seem to be very close to Johnny Barker there. Not sure what happened to that run. Johnny Barker closing up the gap to Kyle Lynott there for the 3rd position. Gap's now down to 1.5 seconds. Paul Ferniani tracking down Joseph Amato and Dennis Puckett. Dennis Puckett able to get around both of those guys. He's now in the 11th position. They got Thomas Fox sitting there behind him. Seems like Buddy Sally gets a really good run out of turn number 1. It's a nice, decent toe. And it just kind of plateaus for him for the rest of the racetrack. If we go to our sectors. Alright, let's try this. David Medina and Buddy Sally through sector 1. Buddy's just a little bit quicker, but Dave Medina able to pull away there on the 2nd sector. As they head towards turn number 2, we see it again. Buddy Sally right on the rear bumper of Dave Medina. Buddy thought about a move into turn number 3, but thought better of it. Saw that little jolt to the inside. Feel like he wanted to take the move. I think this is the closest Buddy's been going into turn number 1. See what he can do there. Dave Medina only 3 thousandths quicker that time through the 2nd sector. Buddy just going to let him go again into turn number 1. We see that gap increase. try and close it back up. Same story with the 44 and the 19. Just not able to get a run to make the pass on anybody. Johnny Barker now up into the third position. Kyle and I believe pitted there. See him 43 seconds behind Dave Medina. Just 3 seconds behind Nick Mills, who still needs to make a pit stop since Kyle and I got way up into the marbles there into turn number 1. So we have close to 50 laps remaining in this race. I'm gonna start seeing some tire strategy par here. David Brenner and Kevin Kyle close together for the 6th position. Kind of trying to generate a run. Got a little loose there out of turn number 3. Those two trying to track down David Buell as well. Gap to David Buell there for David Brenner is about close to 1.2 seconds. Kevin Kyle down pit road for his service here. Looks like they're going to try and split it equally between 25 laps a run. Let's see what happens up front. See if Dave Medina comes down pit road this time by. Buddy Sally follows him as well. Looks like those two are going to stay out. Keep an eye out on if anybody else decides to come down pit road. David Brenner going to shoot down onto pit road, the 22 there, 6th position. Going to try and combat Kevin Kyle of the undercut. Paul Ferniani behind him as well. Shoot down to pit road. David Brenner getting his 4 tires and fuel. See David Owens there still down pit road. Hasn't been out. It's been a 14-minute stop there for David Owens. But Nick Mills trying to gain as many positions. He really needs a yellow. He's going to have a shot here as Kyle and Ott's right in front of him. Rob Chowdhury down pit road for the 24 car. Thomas Fox right behind him as well. Buddy Sally and Dave Medina still battling it out for that top spot. As green flag pit stops are happening. Buddy Sally leaning on that right rear. We saw the car kind of shifting onto that right rear, so we know that car is digging out of turn number 3, but just isn't going to go for a move. He knows if he goes for a move, he's not going to be able to hold it on the inside, carry the momentum he needs to make the pass. But you're going to have to start making moves at some point there, buddy. You're going to try and hold on. As now Joe Volpis, Johnny Barker are down pit road. We see David Owens, his motor is expired. He left that car running during these repairs. Dennis Puckett, Brandon Shelton also down pit road. Nick Mills coming down pit road as well. It's going to set him back some time. Dave Medina and Buddy Sally both come down pit road. It's going to be a race on pit road. See whose team can get their pit stops done before the other. Right on board in David Medina's car. Left side going up now. And he is away. Buddy Sally down 2. But Buddy not having the exit speed he needs out of pit road. Joe Amato also down pit road there. As he exits now. Finally, David Buell, last one, needing to come down pit road for fuel. Kyle Anott's going to inherit the lead. Once he gets by David Buell, he'll only be about 2 seconds in front of Dave Medina and Buddy Sally, but those two gonna have fresher tires than him if they can work together. Kevin Kyle moving up into that 4th position. Driver out of Laverne, California. Dennis Puckett trying to close up on Rob Chowdhury there. Yeah, it's only sitting about half a tenth, or half a second. You saw Paul Ferrani get loose there out of turn number 1. Dennis Puckett up there into the outside wall. Doesn't slow him down at all. Thomas Fox trying to catch up to Paul Ferrani there for the 11th position. Not sure what happened to Johnny Barker, maybe speeding down pit road. He's back there in the 5th position after being in that 3rd spot. Tough break for the driver in Waynesville. Jacksonville really high out of turn number 3. But these two are getting closer and closer after every lap. Only a lap separates them on tire life. Dave Medina tracking down Kyle Lynott there. We see that time interval decreasing from every lap. Can he pull Buddy Sally with him? Doesn't look like it. Catching up to what I believe is Craig Hawkins there in 877. So some lap traffic coming in here late. Dave Medina ever closer to Kyle and I as they are making their way past lap traffic. Medina looking to make the move here going into turn number 1. He's right on the rear bumper of Kyle Lynott. Dave Medina looking to the inside. Gets that job done in turn number 2. Kyle Lynott sucks up right to the rear bumper, but I don't think there was any contact. Joel Volpus also tracking down Kevin Kyle. The gap's now down to 0.6 of a second. We go onto our driver view camera from Kyle Lynott. We are past the halfway point now. Should see him coming down pit road. Next 12 laps, start seeing his next round of green flag pit stops. Thomas Fox trying to make his way on Paul Furiani. Paul got loose there out of turn number 2. Now Thomas is going to try and look to the inside. Going into turn number 3. This battle rages on for the 4th position. Buddy Sally just got past Kyle and out there for the 2nd position. Dave Medina now 2.3 seconds in front of the field. See if Buddy can hold on here for the rest of the race. See if he gets any luck to follow his way for that 2nd round of green flag pit stops. Brandon Shelton working his way up to David Brenner. Gap's now about 1.25 seconds separating those 2 drivers. Kevin Kyle still losing a lot of lap time. Joe only a 10th slower that last lap. The only thing Kevin's got going for him right now. As this is our closest battle on track. As close as Joe Vulpes has been, he's going to look to the inside going into turn number 1. This is for the 4th position. Kevin Kyle going to try and use that top lane to gain momentum. He likes it up there on the outside lane. Down the back straightaway. Joe's going to have to fall back in line, but it's a good attempt there. Notice he has speed on Kevin Kyle. Just needs to be a little bit closer when in turn number 1. Dave Brenner must have had a mistake there, because now Brandon Shelton has cut that gap down by half, down to 0.6 seconds. You can see that right front damage there for Dave Brenner, maybe getting into the outside wall somewhere. See if that car still handles like it needs to. As Paul's gonna give up the spot to Thomas Fox there for the 11th position. Those two gonna keep fighting for it. These two gonna catch a lap car of Craig Hawkins there in the 877. Gonna provide a little bit of tow for Kevin Kyle there. That's a little bit of defense. Kevin Kyle kind of stuck behind the lap car of Craig Hawkins there. Let's see what happens down the short chute. Craig gonna give him the inside. I'll let both these cars go. As that fight for the 11th position is still cooking, Bonfire is still holding on here. Joe Amato joining that fight against Thomas Fox there for the 12th position. Joe looking to clear Thomas Fox here. Doesn't look like he's going to do it though. Craig Hawkins down pit road now. Oh, as Paul had a big wiggle there. He's trying to hold on to it. He does. Scraping the wall just a little bit there on the exit of turn number 3. That's going to let Joe Amato go right by him. As Joe Volpe is still trying to get by Kevin Kyle. Looks like he's going to try and set it up in here for turn number 3. I thought I heard a car in the grass. I don't think anybody's there. Oh, there's Paul Ferdiani in the grass. Yeah, so there you see heavy front end damage to that 44 car as he's going to try and milk it back to pit road. I think we stay green. It's Johnny Barker trying to catch up to Nick Mills there. That's going to be for the 12th position. Having Kyle pitting now on lap 50, just like we thought he would. Gonna try and equally split it. Try and gain some ground here on the final sit. He was able to hold off Joe Volpis. See if he can gain some time on Kyle or not. Somebody we've seen gaining just a little bit time on the race leader is Buddy Sally. Saw him in the high 1 second range. But that last lap, he was just a little bit faster than the race leader. Doesn't seem like he's going to be this time around, maybe trying to get around the lap car of Craig Hawkins. There's Joseph Amato coming out of pit road now. Kyle Anat, Joe Volpis coming down pit road. Now David Brenner and Brandon Shelton still trying to race each other. Brandon having a hard time trying to catch up to the driver out of Pensacola. As Nick Mills is on the rear bumper of the 867 of Johnny Barker. They make their way by Kyle Anat, who recently just came out of pit road. But here's who I want to ride on board with is Kevin Kyle as he tries to catch up to Joe Volpis there. Joe having a really good pit stop there, as I'm going to go over and look at the times. Yeah, Joe Volpis having a 14.58 pit stop. Kevin Kyle having a 16.18. So the undercut did not work this time. There's Dennis Puckett there up into the 7th position. Get ever closer as it's 23 to go now. Let's see if there's that Johnny Barker down pit road. There's one now that he's leaving. Saw him racing against Nick Mills. Nick Mills up to the 9th position, but still having to make that final pit stop. Threat of being lapped by, Kyle Anat is racing him after Kyle pitted. That's my mistake. It's Thomas Fox coming down pit road. Hopefully for the final time. Let's see if we have any other drivers trying to make their way down to pit road. Rob Chowdhury being one of those in the 24. I think maybe Dan Medina might be coming down pit road. We saw him lose a decent amount of time there on the timetable. Maybe he's going to try and make his way down to pit road. Oh, he's going to stay out. What does Buddy Sally do? Buddy Sally coming down pit road, gonna try and pull the undercut on David Medina. I believe Dave Medina can come pit on lap 54, so maybe this is his final lap of fuel. That moves David Buell up to the 2nd position from New Orleans, Louisiana. Kevin Kyle keeps on trying to track down Joe Volpez. These two have been battling all race long. Kevin just having a slow pit stop, having to take more fuel than the 07. Looks like it could be helping him by getting that rear spoiler out of the air, probably more than the 07. But there's our race leader, Dave Medina, coming down pit road. But where is Buddy Sally? Buddy Sally, I think, is on the short chute towards turn number 2. So it'll be interesting to see here what Buddy Sally can do. David Brenner, also a car coming down pit road. And Dennis Puckett. No, Dennis Puckett not pitting quite yet, but here comes Dave Medina out of pit road. Where's Buddy Sally? Buddy Sally closing that gap up immensely. And on warm tires. Buddy Sally going through turn 1 now. See if we can see him on the onboard. And there's Dave Medina right there, about halfway through this long straightaway towards turn number 2. So Buddy Sally coming up short once again. Gap still at 2.3 seconds. It's Dennis Puckett now coming down pit road in the Takis number 12 Ford Mustang with Nick Mills right behind him. It's Thomas Fox now trying to catch up to David Brenner there. David Brenner having a long stop there, probably getting damage repaired. We see that front end damage fixed on the number 22. So David Brenner maybe giving up a top 10 finish. Or some end of the race speed. Brandon Shelton down pit road. David Buell, that last one to make a green flag pit stop. Hit it on lap 30. So maybe in the next 2 laps we could see him coming down pit road for his final pit stop of the race. Maybe we're seeing it now. We see him slowing down. Oh, I think he's just trying to collect that car. There's some handling issues there for the number 52. Kevin Kyle closing the gap to Joe Volpez again. We see these guys battling out. Thomas Fox further back trying to catch up to David Brenner. Johnny Barker maybe trying to catch up to Nick Mills. Somebody to watch on fuel, Craig Hawkins. He is a lap down. But he could be really close on fuel and could maybe not finish this race. See, we see now Craig Hawkins coming down pit road. David Brenner following him. Or that's David Buell, my bad. Black paint schemes had me confused. But Dave Medina going to take over the race lead with about 16 to go. David Buell down pit road. And Medina's got Jack Duval right in front of him. I'll pull a gap away from Buddy Sally, possibly. Alford Annie back down pit road. Jack Duval needing to come down pit road at some point. Top up with some fuel. There's Johnny Barker and Nick Mills. It's the battle for the 10th position. There's Joe Vulpes and Kevin Kyle again. Kevin slowly gaining on him. Last lap, Kevin was about a 10th quicker than Joe Vulpes. Oh, as Kevin Kyle got really loose there coming out of turn number 1. To make him lose some speed. The gap up front, almost 2 seconds for Dave Medina and Buddy Sally. But he's just being 700s slower than Dave Medina that last lap. David Brenner down pit road. See what happened to him. Just see the right front scraped up a little bit. I don't see anything wrong with that car. Not sure what happened to him. But as Dave Medina goes through turns 3, when he crosses the start finish line, it's going to be 12 to go here in Pennsylvania. Does look like David Brenner is going to be out of this race. Oh no, he comes back. It's just going to be 2 laps bound. Still showing me Craig Hawkins down pit road. Maybe he might be done for the day. Rob Chattery trying to get a closer look of that piggy on the back of Brandon Shelton's car. That is going to be for the 7th position, but Brandon Shelton having the lap car of Joe Amato in front of him. Thomas Fox at threat of being lapped by Dave Medina here with 11 to go. Jack Duval down pit road now. Getting way up into the marbles there in turn number 1. Really able to stay out of the way from Brandon Shelton in number 2. Kevin Kyle falling off pace there from Joe Volpis. Gap's almost 2 seconds now. I think Kevin's just going to try and bring it home for the top 5 position. David Beal has nothing for him. As the gap's 1.5 from Dave Medina and Buddy Sally. Can Buddy Sally make a final charge here with 9 to go? His last lap, he was 0.2 quicker. Matt says yes if he can keep that up. There is a lap car in the way separating him from David Medina. That last lap, Dave Medina just a little bit quicker than Buddy Sally. 8 laps left to go. Thomas Fox getting out of the way. It slowed down Buddy Sally just a little bit. So I'm looking through the rest of the field and I don't see any battles really for position. Buddy Sally's still losing time to David Medina. This time by Buddy Sally. Not quicker than David Medina. Actually 700 slower than the 9. So let's go to most exciting. Takes us to Joel Volpis there. So he's trying to catch up to the lap car of David Brenner, who's 2 laps down. Sitting there in the 14th position. So it's 5 to go. Buddy Sally able to gain a little bit of time there. But I don't think it's going to be enough to catch David Medina. Sally getting a little bit closer there. Yes, almost down under 2 a second. Maybe we're seeing Dave Medina's tires fall off just a little bit. We had a dramatic finish last season at Pocono between Dave Medina and Jason Landry. Dave Medina getting it done. That last lap, Buddy Sally 18/10 of a second closer. Or 1800ths on my bad. But even at this rate, if he can catch him with 2/10 of a lap, that's just going to put him 4/10 short from getting the victory. Could the lap car of Johnny Barker play a factor, as Dave Medina is now close to about, I want to say, maybe a second, 2/10 from lapping him. And we're going to hit 2 to go. Like 10th quicker that last time for Buddy Sally. Out of turn number 3, it's going to be 2.5 miles left to go before Dave Medina can try and go back to back here at the Tricky Triangle. Buddy Sally falling back to a second. I don't think he has anything for David Medina. Lap traffic not going to play a factor here. Started 4th here today, able to make his way quickly up through the field. Had great pit stops all day long. Through turn 3, Dave Medina is going to round out that final corner down the long straightaway. Dave Medina is going to be your winner here at Pocono. Buddy Sally coming 7/10 behind Dave Medina. Kyle Anott going to come home in the 3rd position. Joe Volpis coming home 4th, followed by Kevin Kyle and David Buell. Be your top 6. We see that right front damage to David Brenner's car. Brandon Shelton coming home in the 7th position. Rob Chowdhury in the 8th, and Dennis Puckett coming out of turn 3 number now. It's going to be 9th, and Nick Mills, after being tangled up with David Owens at the start of the race with no yellow down pit road. He's going to come home and finish in the top 10. All eyes are going to be on David Medina. So he's going to do those victory burnouts. Medina's going to get her backed up so he can do more donuts. As David does his victory burnouts, we are going to go back and look at the results of today's race. Let's see if I can get over here. It's not what I want. Well, results. There we go. Dave Medina coming to take the win here as he continues to burn it down, and the fans in the grandstands are loving it. Followed by Buddy Sally for Red Line Motorsports. Kyle Lynott, Jill Volpis, and Kevin Kyle rounding out your top 5. Followed by David Beal, Brandon Shelton, Rob Chowdhury, Dennis Puckett, and Nick Mills, your top 10. Then in the 11th position, Johnny Barker, who was running up front, having a decent race, and I think maybe sped down pit road. He's going to come in the 11th position. Followed by Thomas Fox in the 12th position, Joseph Amato in the 13th position, David Brenner in the 14th, Jax Duvall, Craig Hawkins, Paul Ferdiani, and David Owens rounding out the field. As I try and get a quick look of the standings, I believe it's going to be Dave Medina who's leading the point standings by 4 points over Buddy Sally, and Joe Volpis there just 7 points behind Dave Medina. Kevin Kyle there in the 4th spot, 8 points behind Dave Medina, and Nick Mills, last week's winner, 10 points behind after having some misfortune after this race. And that's going to be it here from Pocono. We're going to be back to our regularly scheduled broadcast on Sunday mornings for the Bonfire Premier Cup Series at Indianapolis. We're going to have some good action there back on the oval. Hopefully you guys will tune in for that. Don't forget to share, like, and turn on that bell notification if you're not already subscribed to get those notifications every time we go live here on the Bonfire Racing Network, either it be Sunday morning, Tuesday night, or in the off chance we're doing it a delayed broadcast like we did this week. But that's going to be it here. I am Jared Kelly, the Showboat. Going to be signing off here. I'll catch you guys on the racetrack or in the booth. Going to be calling some races here in the future.